The next point is the works of the Jainism in Kannada language. The poet Pampa is composed Adi Puran and Vikram Rajan Vijayant, and the poet Pona wrote Shanti Puran in describing the life of 16th Jain Tirthakarat. The poet Ranna is composed two books, namely Ajitanath Puran and Gada Yuddha. These three poets, is namely Pampa, Pona, and Ranna, are known as the trio of early Kannada literature. The poet Kamban composed Ramayana in Tamil language. Also, several other famous literary works were written in Tamil language. Indian languages and composition got a good encouragement during the Delhi Sultanate. During that period, two forms of Delhi language, namely Khadi Boli and Brijbhasha, which are the two forms of Delhi language. The Delhi language are two forms of one of the Khadi Boli and second is Brijbhasha. It is began used written in literature. Many devotions songs were composed in these two languages. Moreover, many heroic poems and stories were composed in Rajasthani language, which is similar to Hindi and Gujarati. The Rajasthani language is similar to Hindi and Gujarati language. The heroic works like Allah, Udal, and Vishal Dev Raso were popular that time. The Chandrayaan written by Maula Dawood. Who is written Chandrayaan? Chandrayaan written by Maula Dawood. This is the oldest book of Awadhi language. Which is the language? Awadhi language, and it is the oldest book of Awadhi language. However, the critical appreciations of the ancient books was still written in Sanskrit language. Persian was the language of a court of Delhi Sultanate. As a result, we can see many Persian words in Indian languages, and many historians emerged in this period. A proper description about Indian history was done in Persian languages by a Turkish writer. The writer is Jauddin Barani. Wrote the book was Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi, which gives a detailed account of a region of the Khalji and Tughlaq kings. And Jauddin Burani also wrote a book of political theory called Fatwa A. Jahangiri. The another is Amir Khusro. Amir Khusro was the most outstanding literacy figure of a Delhi Sultanate. Do you know about the Amir Khusro? Okay, and he was a poet, historian, mystic, sant, and a composer of music. Who was Amir Khusro? Amir Khusro was a also poet, historian, mystic, sant, and a composer of music. He did several works in a Persian language. He wrote the Ashika, next in Nah, Sifar, the Kiratul Sadian, next is Khajian ul Futtah, the several other works of poetry. Amir Khusro is also composed verses in many other languages. He, he wrote a number of bilingual quatrains and verses in Hindi and Persian language. Amir Khusro is was a disciple of Nizamuddin Aulia, and he is a Amir Khusro was took great pride of his being an Indian and Persian and prized India as a earthly paradise. He praised India, a flora fauna, its beauty, its buildings, its knowledge and learning. Amir Khusro also strongly believed that in many aspects Hinduism and Islam. He considered the Hinduvai, the Hindi spoken around the region of Delhi, and his mother tongue, and composed many verses in it. He also composed verses in many other languages. Next, novice. Now we know about the Bhakti sons. During the Middle Era, the regional kings gave great inputs to regional languages and literature. Bhakti Sant started preaching of people in local languages and it understand the preaching. There are the Bhojpuri and Awadhi were the major dialected during those days. Kabir was one of the such a great Bhakti Sant and a poet. The works of the Kabir are chiefly of the composed in Sadhu Khadi. Among them, Kabir's Doha, that is very famous, Okay, the Kabir's dohas has become a part of a folklore. Malik Muhammad Jayeshi wrote Padmavati in Awadhi. The another book is written in Awadhi. That his name is Padmavati, and wrote is this book is written by Malik Muhammad Jaisi. The another language is Marathi. Another book is written in Awadhi. That is Tulsidas. Tulsidas is written Ramacharita in Awadhi language. There were also many other poets and writers are Awadhi in this period. Apart from the main languages, there were several works done in other languages. The few famous of them are first is a Kritavasa is a wrote Ramayana in Bengali. The another is a famous poet Chandidas wrote hundreds of lyrics under the patron of the rulers, and a Sant Chaitanya's begin traditional of written devotion of songs. Another is Narsingh Mehta wrote the devotion of songs in Gujarati, and it is famous of Narsingh Mehta's songs in Gujarati. And another is in Marathi language, the Namdev and Sant Eknath is in Marathi language. It is also written in Marathi. This is important development took place in Kashmir under Jainuddin under the patron of many Sanskrit works like Mahabharata and Rajatarangini were translated into Persian. The next in the region of King Vijayanagar, Sanskrit literature continued to develop. However, this was an important period for the growth of Telugu literature. Raja Krishnadev Raya, the great king of Vijayanagar, he was also a Telugu and Sanskrit writer. He wrote the Amukta Malayat. Some literature also is developed in a Mughal period. The Mughal art and architecture is world famous. The Mughal was constructed quite well in the literature. Like Babur, the first Mughal ruler, was one of the most prominent Turkish poet. He wrote a very valuable autography, autobiography like Tuzak-e Babur in Turkish, and this was later translated into Persian under the name of Babur Nama. Another book is written in Gulbadan Begum, the sister of Emperor Humayun. Okay, Gulbadan Begum is a sister of Emperor Humayun. He wrote Humayun Nama. Jahangir wrote is a great autobiography. Tujak e Jahangiri. You learn we all remember all these books name and writers name and the languages. Okay, in this chapter all the understand about the book's name. Okay, and author's name, the poet, the writer's name. Okay, next is the book is Jahangir wrote the is a great author autobiography of Tujake Jahangiri. And Aurangzeb was also a prolific writer. And Bahadur Shah Zafar, the last Mughal emperor, was also a notable Urdu poet. Bahadur Shah Zafar was a Urdu poet. And moreover, the Hindi literature also made significant progress during Akbar's reign. And those are the Tulsidas and Surdas wrote during the Mughal period. The great poet Keshav Das wrote a love and separation in Rahim's. Others are the stiff popular all over India. Many noteworthy books were written during this Mughal period. Abdul Fazil wrote the Aine Akbari and the Akbarnama. You remember all these books name and writer's name. Also ask these questions in fill in the blanks or answer in one word like the also ask in brief questions. Okay, and Aine Akbari gives the details of Indian costumes and also give the manners, religion, philosophy, economic condition, and almost every aspects of a life. It is very important historical work. Which of the book? Aine Akbari. Another book is in Mughal period is Abul Fazil's brother. Fazil was a great Persian poet and is translated many Sanskrit works into Persian. There are many Sanskrit books it translated into Persian language. And Akbar had established an independent department for translator. What did Akbar? Akbar was established as independent department for translations of Sanskrit works like the Mahabharata and Ramayana, the Atharvaveda, the Bhagavad Gita, and Panchatantra. They are the translated. During the beginning of Middle Age, the language of literature in North India was Sanskrit. One of the most significant development during the medieval period was the birth of Urdu language. Okay, the birth of Urdu language. This new language soon developed into one of the richest modern Indian language. Urdu language produced great poets like Wali, Mir Dard, next Mir Taki Mir, Nazir, Akbar Badi, next Abdul Khan, Ghalib, Iqbal, and others. They are Urdu writers. Urdu prose also developed in the early 18th century, and when the translation of most of the historical works from Sanskrit into Urdu began. At the same time, original prose work in Urdu was also written. Muhammad Hussain Azad's Darbar-e-Akbari is one of the best work of Urdu language.